And we should also get rid of this notion that psychology is going to provide the answers for parenting. Psychological studies, psychological books, psychological experts, we should always look at that material with a highly skeptical eye. And I've said this for many years, over a decade now. Why? Because psychology is the grandchild of liberalism. Psychology is liberalism applied to the human mind. So a lot of the assumptions that go behind psychology as a field, as an academic discipline, are based on a liberal paradigm, a liberal modernist paradigm. And we're going to see this as we go through the clip, inshallah. So that's why you should, when it comes to psychological advice coming from these experts, and they're all over social media, by the way, and the target demographic is usually women. Women watch a lot of this material. I'm not saying there's nothing of value within the academic discipline of psychology, but there's a lot of trash. There's a lot of poison. There's a lot of disasters waiting to happen if you just follow this advice blindly and you don't refer everything back to Islam and an Islamic paradigm. So that's something that a lot of Muslims are not really aware of, and they are so trusting and naive when it comes to these psychologists, and they invite them to their community. And the thing about psychology, it has this kind of it's within the broader family professionally of medicine. There's the medical field, and you have your physical health, and you also have your mental health. So it's a medical professional field with under that broader heading. And Muslims just have culturally a great deal of respect for doctors, a great deal of respect for the medical profession, and psychologists kind of slip into that. And they piggyback off of that, or they hitch their wagon onto that, and they get this kind of respect, even though psychology, let's be frank here, doesn't have the same kind of scientific or empirical rigor as the medical sciences. And if you know me, I'm not even saying that the medical sciences are really that high when it comes to scientific rigor either. I think, and this is something that we can discuss, or we have discussed about, for example, 50%. The researcher is a Greek researcher in Stanford, Ioannidis. I believe his first name is John Ioannidis. And he had this landmark study where he discovered that 50% of medical research published in peer-reviewed medical journals, 50% cannot be reproduced. The results cannot be reproduced. So what that means is that you have a research paper that is publishing about some drug, is publishing about some kind of experiment that's done to understand the human body, physiology, what have you. 50% of those medical papers, the results cannot be reproduced if you follow the procedures that are outlined in those medical papers. So that's basically saying 50% of medical science is bunk. And that's medical science that is done, in a lab, double-blind studies at these levels of rigor and precision that you'd expect from empirical work like that. 50% is basically bunk. And this is what has been discovered. So then imagine psychology. Psychology, again, so I'm not saying that we throw the entire discipline in the trash, but we have to be a little bit critical. We have to look at not just one study, not two studies. We have to look at meta studies. We have to look at criticisms of those studies, etc. That's all I'm saying. But unfortunately, you have Muslims who will be so trusting. Someone comes to the masjid and says, I'm a psychologist. I want to tell you how to raise your kids. I'm a licensed counselor, a licensed therapist. I want to tell you how to, how imams can be more emotionally sensitive to women in the community. I want to do a training. I want to do a training for your community on sex awareness, sexual education, because there's so much abuse and there's so much spiritual abuse that we have to train the imams, we have to train the community members. Or I want to come and teach you about parenting. I want to come and teach you about, and they'll sprinkle in some hadith, they'll sprinkle in some ayats of the Quran. And suddenly oh, the sheikha has come. The sheikha has come and we're going to learn all about. This is a Trojan horse, because those individuals often, they are not critical of liberalism. They're not critical of feminism. And they're bringing that material into your community under the guise of a medical field of psychology. And we have to respect the doctors. We have to respect the experts, trust the experts. the Trojan horse. Come on in, Trojan horse. Come on here. Come on in. Here's the mimbar. Here's the mimbar, Trojan horse. Just go ahead and stand at the mimbar and lecture our parents and our community. This is a disaster, and this is something that is very rampant in the United States. I'm not sure about other countries, but I'm sure that in the future, other countries will also follow the same pattern for their Muslim communities.